Greetings and welcome. This is PsychicMediumRoberto, and I truly hope you are doing well. I remain humble in the presence of spirit. Trigger warning: the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with true crime events. All cases, names, people are treated as alleged until proven in a court of law. Disclaimer: all numbers used in the cases pertain to the case context specifically and bears no resemblance to similar or same numbers you may have in your date of birth. Welcome to Intuitive Sundays, episode 46. And there is a lot on the plate. There's a lot happening in the world, and it's good to be back. I had a small break just to reset, realign. I hope you're doing well. And I'm recording this Sunday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, Australia. I'm trying my best to get it out early as possible for you guys. The intention was to record it on Saturday, but I was asked just to wait till now. So let's see how we go. There's a lot going on, and unfortunately there's been some tragic events. Breaking news currently as I'm recording: there's a children's party out in California. There's a scene of a mass shooting. And unfortunately, there are fatalities, and let's hope they get the perp quickly. What is going on in the world? So, of course, news breaking early this week is the devastating fire that happened in Hong Kong, mainland China. Very disturbing images, and of course, very disturbing with the mass casualties that has taken place. And may their souls rest in peace, and all those people affected by this unnecessary, and I'll repeat it, unnecessary fire. The latest intel I have from news reports is they're blaming the company responsible for the renovations. Of course, the bamboo scaffolding and styrofoam placards all over the place didn't help matters. And JLR, who initially picked up on his feed, equated these buildings to matchsticks, similar to matchsticks, with all this bamboo and scaffolding netting around. So very tragic. And of course, they're saying it's all about corruption. So the event takes place November 26. Is it November 26? Let me just check my calendar here quickly. 26. So the bad news, I don't see corruption numbers around here. The numbers for corruption that we're looking for is 14.5. 14.5, so November the 26th. And the tragic situation, this happened in Mercury retrograde. And as I'm recording now, the morning of the 30th, we at the exit point of Mercury retrograde, and of course there'll still be a shadow. So we'll tread lightly and not try to point fingers, but show what is happening. So the big concern on the day that it happens, there's all of these 10-1s. And these 10-1s are not good 10-1s, because we can agree that it affects a lot of people, lots of groups. When you get to 46-10-1, impacts the family. 37-10-1 impacts the community. But what is going on here? In the middle of the day, we have a 19-10-1. That, for me, is highly problematic. And if we look at the +3, brings around all the 13-4, so all the 4s. So I'm gonna say now, this has got zero to do with corruption, in my opinion. The following day, in the +1, when the fire was still going, we have the outcome 14.5 in the intention. So 14.5 in the intention is not corruption again. 14.5 is, in my humble opinion, take it how you want, but this was an intentional act of violence perpetrated against mostly, in the main, elderly people that have retired. They're living on their last bit, or they're living month to month, but whatever government grants they get. So these are a populace that are completely vulnerable. And the most shocking thing, apart from the obvious, is that the fire trucks could only reach halfway. So now you start thinking, is it wise to be living on the top floor in a high-rise building in China or Hong Kong? So there was one report that stuck out for me, and that was there was an explosion heard just before the fire. And I've seen the video. How convenient. There's now a TikTok video of a worker smoking in that environment, or in and around one of those buildings. How convenient. So some random worker films his buddy smoking. Okay. Sounds like a hokey pokey to me. And when you got numbers like 16.7 around, pings on the Communist Party, pings on China, what is going on here? In the action is 16.7. This was a deliberate act, in my opinion. I know that comes with quite a bit of weight. In my opinion, this was a deliberate act. I'm seeing in the action on the day. So before this all starts, right? We have a 32.5, a highly, the intention here was for destruction, the way we see these buildings. China's date of birth ends with the 16.7. The day before, we have a portal sequence 89 stack of nines. Murderous. There's a problem here. November 26. You can't hide from numbers. November 26 in the +6 action. So this is now what is happening. The morning of the fire, we have an 11.2 from November. And then we have a 29.11.2 conflict. There's an 11.2 conflict. So this 11.2 speaks about the law. The law has been broken. Yes, we can all agree. A lot of the tenants and elderly people a year ago were complaining that this was a potential hazard. Yet their cries were ignored. Was this a big setup? We got problems here. We've got problems here. The day before, we have a 39.12.3. What was the purpose of destroying these buildings? And of course, they're attacking elderly people. Do they think the elderly people are marginal, that they can do whatever they want? There's 16.7 on the ground action. This was a deliberate attack, arson. In my opinion, this was not a worker smoking a cigarette, as they miraculously and just by chance, they filmed someone having a cigarette. Come on. Come on. So the issue here is if there was an explosion, there are reports of hearing a loud bang moments before the fire started. So what caused that? And with all of these 10, 1 speaks about a small explosion. 10, I've mentioned this in previous episodes, 10, 20, 30, 40 are in an explosion environment are varying degrees of explosions. So here we have a small explosion. Our witness hears a loud bang before the fire starts. So something did explode, in my opinion. In the +9, funny enough, it pings on the number of this episode, 46. In the +9, when this goes down, we have a 46, 10, 1. That's hugely. Let me tell you, and I'm trying to remember, there was a case recently where something happened and the whole day is full of 10 1s. Very, very suspicious. So by the time the fire starts, November 26, and we go into midnight to sunrise, triple nines. We have a 27-9 in play. 27-9 is deliberate. Something is very suspicious about this event. The evening before, we find a 15-6 in the +6. So the evening before, 15-6 speaks about arson, 15-6. Were they trying to get this going before? And maybe that didn't work. And this is why we hear an explosion. Why was there an explosion? And in the +9 on the day revealed 55, 10, 1. I'm sorry to say, but there's a government element involved here. 55, 5 speaks about government. And I'm going to say it again. Yes, there's 14 5s on the next day in the +3. But in this case, it speaks about a human being caused this with intention. It was not a casual worker, as we see on the TikTok video, having a smoke and he flicks the butt down and oops, it falls on netting, in my opinion. There needs to be an independent probe into what happened here. And the poor families that have suffered through this, all of those people are homeless, 7 towers. I was just, when I was preparing these charts during the week, you pinged on me. And I just wonder if this was not created to thwart attention on the Communist Party of China and the Chinese government. Pretty much the same thing. I wonder. Mainland China, Hong Kong. 16.7 is worse than sabotage. It was targeted. And the most vulnerable people, right? All right, so the latest news coming out of Washington, having just cleaned up the streets. Donald Trump has been saying it is as safe as anything. Come back to Washington, D.C., folks. It's safe and sound. And then we have 2 National Guards that are gunned down by an I almost want to use the word employee, but at least associated with CIA operations in Afghanistan. So let's have a look and see what is going on here. And I must just say, if you haven't seen the video of the gunman running around, it's just a terrible situation. That someone that can travel from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast just to do this. Something is amiss. Let me just double check something. Yes. So this also happens the same day that the fire breaks out, right? So let's look at it from a military point of view. And we have the same issue coming around, that this was a deliberate issue, that we can say, yes, the perpetrator deliberately shot the people, but he's just the face. There's more going on in the background. I want to just see something here. So I'm going to say in the +3 of this event day, and unfortunately one of the National Guard's personnel has passed, and the other is in a significant critical condition, and he's also fighting for his life. Unfortunately, the lady that got taken out in the attack has succumbed to her injuries. All the hidden numbers during this event ping on Trump. Was this an attack? And I'm just putting it out there. Was this an attack on the Republicans? Let's find out. Let's see. 16-7. So we got all the 15-6s. So the day before hidden are all the Republican numbers. And we got a domestic terrorism issue. I disagree. I'm not American, and it will affect you. If you're an American, it affects you more. It's your country. You know your history better than us. But 15-6 the day before speaks about this perpetrator. And unfortunately, we got 39-12-3. We got CIA numbers the day before, hidden. 39-12-3, 30 outcome 3, 21-3 CIA numbers. So very clear, 6, 15-6, 42. So we got a 43-7. See, here's an issue. We have a 43-7 in play. So there's a bit of, there's definitely a layer cake issue here. I'm going to say, and I'm sure we can agree, the perpetrator, there's more behind this whole operation other than just him. I'm going to drive all the way across the United States for 3 days, however long it takes. Let's ask Melody's mother how long it takes to cross the country, right? To come and do this. Very suspicious. Let me just see. There's high level, hold on, 35-8. 358. There's a hint here this might have been intended to be a lot worse. There's a hidden 44-8. Hidden 44-8 agenda. Plan. There's too much. So this is the other issue, right? On surface level. The outcome of the day. So the day in the middle when this takes place, 19-10-1, full operation. But then there's a 46-10-1, 37-10-1, 28-10-1. There's other people involved here. Those numbers are too high level for a sole single individual to come out and create this mayhem. There's Puppeteers 44.8. There's Puppeteers 44.8. CIA numbers the day before. This is the thing when a heinous crime that stands out, right? When there's a heinous crime about to be committed, the criminals, apart from the obvious, those hiding behind closed doors, are always waiting the day before, knowing what is going to happen. 33. There's a 33-6 the next day in the action, and we have a 999 chaos. So we can agree. So there, 27-9 is the two unfortunate soldiers being attacked, the National Guards people, and there's a 999. I think this was meant to be a bigger situation, eh? This was meant to be a bigger hidden 44.8. So hidden 44.8 can speak about, of course, a design and a plan, but it could also speak about a device. Was there a device around here? I think we must still be careful. There is that hidden 44.8, which will be in 6 days' time from the event. So the second day, the beginning of December, we must be careful around Washington. End of November, beginning of December, there's a possible device, hidden device. There's a hidden device in play possibly here, huh? And it's related to what transpired here in the National Guard. Why would... Oh, and by the way, and I don't mean to poke the bear, so I say the day before, 15-6 and all those numbers are Republican. On the day of the event, we have the Democrat numbers. What is going on here? And we got those 17-8s around. So it's definitely the shadow government, I dare say, allegedly, hundreds and thousands sprinkles on your popcorns. There's a puppet master behind this, and I believe there was another one that was prevented as well. We must be careful here. My concern is, and it's I can feel it in my chest. 44.8, we must be careful. There's potential device floating around here somewhere, huh? And may her soul rest in peace, and may the curtain be drawn that we can see what is happening behind closed doors. It's like I want to say, the Republicans won the elections. So why do the Democrats want to, I suppose, is that what they do, destabilize the sitting government? I know that almost sounds naive. Of course they do. Well, there's proof that it has happened. And let's hope the second serviceman can recover from this ghastly event. That 44.8 is bothering me, so please, whether it was found with this latest stop, there's something out there, so just be careful, please. Washington. Funny enough, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I would say a few months ago, maybe 10 months ago, I actually wanted to do a profile on her because I found it quite interesting. Now, I know it's a divisive topic because half the country doesn't like her, half the country does, right? But I'm just going to say there was something about her that piqued my interest, and perhaps it's this, that she's going to stand up for the victims of the Epstein and his elite circle of friends wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that is now coming apart. And to see a woman stand up for the woman and who were children at the time, who were affected by the Epstein circle of pedophiles, right? So I thought, let's just have a look at the day of her announcement. And just for clarity's sake, I haven't looked at anyone's reading. I happened to glimpse that Mrs. Wicker has done some readings around this. I haven't watched her readings. I generally don't watch other psychics' readings if I know I'm going to do a reading on that case myself. I certainly don't want to be influenced by anyone, and it's better not to be influenced by anyone. So, November 21, 2025, Marjorie Taylor announces her resignation. Now it comes into effect January the 5th. So I didn't want to look at January the 5th. I wanted to look on why she would choose November 21 to make her announcement. And we know the lead up to it, of course, Donald and Marjorie were bumping heads. And of course, like all pedophiles and people that have got things to hide, dirty closets, dirty bird islands, friends in high places or friends in rotten places, she was naturally bumping heads. And of course, these pedophiles and all the Epstein-related people don't want this information out. So the day she, 21-3, can speak about the way she feels about, yes, it's very obvious that she cares about Americans. She cares about the regular people that are trying to get through life. But that 21-3 brings around the issue of, I mean, it's the same thing. I've just been reminded. I'll get her name now. God damn it. I can see her face. I've got a picture. Yeah, she is here. Yeah, she is here. The lady with the most beautiful smile in the world. Sorry. Sometimes I'm bad with names, but I'm good with visuals. Mrs. Green, what was it? Ellen Greenberg. There we go. Ellen Greenberg. Why does she pop up? Because in my opinion, she discovered what her boyfriend or fiance was doing at the time, and that's why there's this big cover-up. It's because there's this pedo ring. So in the case of Marjorie, she knows what's happened. And we know what's happened. Well, I suppose we know a tip of the iceberg. And I'm sure she knows a lot more, having interacted with the survivors. And of course, that doesn't bode well with Trump, right? So the 21-3 brings around that awkwardness. I mean, how can she represent or support someone when now all the evidence is coming out? One can say, well, didn't she know this before? Well, maybe she's discovered just how far and deep the rabbit hole goes, right? 14.5 is she's disclosing. So 14.5 in a criminal court aspect or in a court aspect is disclosure, 14.5. And the impact 14.5 is on America, because America is 14.5. So her resignation would have had a significant impact on her constituency, the people that voted her in, and the American citizens in general, and people around the world. Everyone has taken notice of her resignation, which is very significant. We have a female walking away from misogyny. And misogyny keeps threatening her. It's going to come out. It's going to come out. And she's keeping evidence. She's keeping information, 32.5, 41.5, until it comes out in a court of law. There are going to be more court cases. And I've been shown part of that whole court case. There's going to be a lot of court cases and people involved here. I read an article. There's what, 600. Don't quote me. Please fact check me on this one. But there's over 600 Republicans that are on the list. I want to use the term London Bridge is falling down. The crumbling effect has begun. So interesting, the day she announces, right? 14:05 in the day. Marjorie, I said I won't get too personal, but I'm just going to show in her date of birth, it's public knowledge, in the day position is 14:05. When she does the announcement, 14:05. So, and we have the hidden 32.5, there's the hidden 32.5. So this is saying that this is Marjorie talking. This is a firm decision that she has made. The day before the announcement, there's a 20 outcome 2 conflict. So 20 outcome 2, I mean, on one hand is the mother, and she is a mother. Can you imagine a mother with children, even if they're older, is working for and surrounded by pedo people, dirty birds, as Alicia would say. The following day, in the +1 of the announcement, we find all the ugly numbers around children: 33.6, 42.6, immoral behavior by adults, 42.6, immoral behavior. Interesting, the day before the announcement in the reel, we have children numbers: 13.4, 22.4, 31.4. These pigs. Information is going to be available if anything happens to her, is what I'm going to say here. So if you ever wondered, because I was quite interested to look at her numbers, because I don't know, it was about a year ago that I saw her in Congress, and I just felt, wow, she's like quite hardcore, very forthright, speaks her mind, blunt, maybe one can say, but forthright for sure. So she's got all the 8s, and I'm not going to get too hectic with the date of birth. I said I won't, but I just want to point out one thing. She's a life path 8. The communicator, the talker, the speaker. And I'm just going to say quickly, she has the 26.8. 26.8. Hot sauce factory. And when it comes out hot, I'm sure you can agree, Marjorie 26.8, when she's on fire and it's verbal attack. I've been told not to get too much more personal, but I'm going to say that's where it comes from. She's not scared at all. So the next day, after her announcement, which would technically fall within the 24-hour, so we have the 22.4 and 11.2 standoff. I'm just going to say, when those court cases come around, it's like what you and I, if we had to go sort out our license or any official documentation that involves you going to government buildings, right? There's queues and there's numbers and there's all these people waiting. Well, with all of these congressmen, big business people, hey, Gates, Bill Gates, all those people, it's going to be like they're all waiting in a queue to go through the courthouse, is what I say. Shit's coming down the pipeline. All right. So we're going to jump onto a viewer choice quickly, and I need to add it to the thumbnail. And I'd asked, if you wanted to add a case to the story. So thank you to Astra. You had asked for the Celine Cremer case. So if you're not aware of this case, and I wasn't either, unfortunately, but let's have a look here. So it's been more than 2 years since Belgian traveler Celine Cremer disappeared near Philosopher Falls on Tasmania's west coast. So we got a Belgium in the Tasmanian area that unfortunately went missing on June 17, 2023. So let me just clarify some of these dates. Her car was found, or she was reported missing June 26. So June 26, 2023, reported missing. However, it is believed that when she got to the area, it was around June 17 where they found her car. So I've got June 17, I got the day before June 16, and we've got June 18 the following day. And I'm just going to say, on surface level, there's some problems here, hey? No shit, Sherlock. All right, so the day before, June 16, we have a 777 in the first 2 rows. Too many numbers in the first 2 rows is problematic. There's a problem. The day starts with 16-7. So we've got all of these 7, so there's a bit of chaos. Okay, so that's problematic. We unfortunately have a terrible number. It becomes a terrible number when someone's been missing for 2 years, right? 29-11-2. Another no shit Sherlock moment, but at least one other person knows what happened to her. All right, so let's see what's going on. So I'm going to say the day before, there's problems here. Huh? There's definitely instability, high emotions. There's a 20 outcome to the day before the 17th. There's high emotions going on here. Now, I haven't done a deep dive into her personal situation, what was going on, or what the possible narratives are. I'm just going to give what I'm seeing here. This 30 outcome 3, so on the day that allegedly the car parks and she goes for a walk or a hike, June 17, there's a 30 outcome 3, which for me is a little bit strange. All right, let me just see. The reason why it's strange, how old was she? Well, based on this picture, I don't believe she was still young, eh? Well, in her early 20s, perhaps, I think. But what I'm getting to, this 30 outcome 3 is a mature adult woman that is having an outburst here. So why would that be the case? Is there another female involved here? (21-3), not good. So the day she parks the car and goes for a walk, there's a 14-5, can bring around difficulties. I'm keeping this in the positive, but I must tell you at the moment I'm getting, there's another thread happening in the background. Yes, there's something else going on here. So I'm going to do it positive, what I'm seeing, and then we'll go deeper. But I'm picking up something else is going on here, layer cake. So unfortunately, the following day, we have an 18-9. 18-9 in the negative can bring around murder. Then it's followed by 15-6. So was she seeing someone? Because it's someone that she would have known, 24-6, someone familiar. I don't know any background of this. I'm going to give you what I see here. So there's definitely a male involved, 15-6. and some way connected to her, this person would be considered at least minimum a friend, known about this person. There's a familiarity about the person 24/6. So I would say not a stranger. Let's say that, right? And I don't believe someone was hiding in the bush and they happened to see Celine walk in and jump out and whatever. This person knew who she was or who she is, and she knew the person. So unfortunately, we find a 31-4 here. Not very good. So let me just say, so 31-4 can mean two things. And this also applies to the melody case, in that these are similar numbers. So, for example, when melody goes missing, immediately after there's a 31-4. So it could either bring around, unfortunately, and a death, unfortunately, or change of identity. So they changed, in Melody's case, there's a possibility that her identity may have been changed, possibility. Here we find a 31-4 followed by 22-4. So there's an earth environment. It unfortunately brings around a hidden earth environment, and the outcome 13-4. So let me just see in the action. I beg your pardon. In the action, so hidden 20 outcome 2. There's something dubious here. This, I don't believe it was a natural. Let's say she tripped, fell, happened to fall down a crevice that no one can see, or it's very difficult. I don't believe that's the case. Let me see if I can pick up something psychically. So some have been saying, oh, you're not so psychic anymore, or you're not using your mediumship. I always check initially if I feel there's a bad outcome. In other words, energy-wise or emotionally, it will impact me too negatively, then I don't go in psychically and I use the numbers. I keep my safety, and I've got to be cautious as well. I don't just run into a crime scene, right? Because you don't know what you're going to stumble into. So let's just see here. Hidden 26-8. So hidden 26-8. There's definitely heated argument, male emotions. There's something going on. I believe it may be closer to home than we may have expected. The problem for me the day before, there's like a breakup going on. 16-7 can speak about a separation. There is getting rid of things going on the day before. That 30 outcome 3 is odd in the context. So here we have a young person, let's say, and I'm just going to say, meet someone else there or take someone else with them, or someone meets her there. But there's a problem here. There's been arguments, there's been fighting. 36-9. And I know this is going to sound obvious, but there is an 11-2 in the action in the day. So that 11-2, I saw it before I made the comment, but I said this is not slipping and falling. In the action, there is an 11-2. Now, 11-2 can bring around, she slips and falls. But in this case, so now I'm going to go into the next layer. I'm picking up something else here. Whether knowing or not knowing, there's a legal issue behind this whole situation. Now, to what level? All right. So remember I said there's a 2911-2, so there's more than one person, yes. But now in the +9, there's more than 2 people that know what happened here. So I'm going to say this. I believe it would have ended within 48 hours, unfortunately for Celine. This may have been a deliberate focus on Celine. So we need to see who else was in that area, what other phones were in the area at the time, June 17. There's a male. There's someone familiar involved here as well. And there's also feminine energy around this as well. The concept that just came to mind, and I don't mean this to be a red herring or anything, but the word that just came around, couples who kill. Because why would this 30 outcome 3 is bothering me? So I'm just going to say that there's definitely there's something going on before she gets to this site that is high emotions, causes chaos. And I don't mean to disrespect anyone or any family member or anything, but there may have even been something else going on behind the scenes with Celine, which she was aware of, that may have culminated in this outcome, unfortunately. But I don't believe we got a good outcome here. See, there's that in the +6 as well the next day. There's a hidden 30 outcome 3. We need to, I would say, we need to dig deeper. Now, I'm going to say again, I haven't looked into her background. There's something in her background that will reveal what has transpired here, in my opinion, is what I'm getting to. I believe whoever else is involved and whatever the issue was were exacting control over her. Maybe she knew something she was going to talk about. Maybe she knew something she shouldn't have seen. Something to that effect is unfortunately what transpired here. Oh, hold on. There's also, okay. So I'm going to say now, there's an adult female involved as well. And here in the +9 is revealed there's a 40 outcome 4. So there's an adult, there's a father, there's an older male involved as well. Very suspicious. There's two people that took her out here. There's 2 people involved. We need to find out who was around her. We're looking for an older woman and an older male. I'm not saying grandpa or grandma age. Older, much older woman and a much older male involved here, in my opinion. If need be, then we can go deeper. For all the Karen Reed supporters, I'm one of them. We knew from day one, when I did my first ever reading on Karen Reed, I picked up on the real issue in that reading. And subsequent to that, there were crime sleuths on the ground working the case that made contact with me and sent me information. It all came out to be right because, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the sleuths, that this was more than just, it was obviously not Karen killing her boyfriend, right? There was more to it. So now that time has passed, and now Karen can have her say, or Karen files a lawsuit November 17, 2025, and here are all the perpetrators. A lot of these people named in the lawsuit are law enforcement people. I wonder if she included the judge, because that judge was dodgy as fuck. All right, November 17, 2025. Look at all of these 10s. Now, we know Karen Reed, her life path is a 10-1-1. She's got a lot of these 10-1s, in my opinion, and this is just a footnote. We're not going too deep. I'm not going to reveal too much around this in the case, just to protect the integrity of the case. But I can tell you something now. Look at all of these 10-1s, 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 and includes judicial, 37-10-1, judicial. Authorities in positions. But it's also saying, muchos money coming down the pipeline. These are all big money numbers, big, 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 big. And all based on evidence. We know the evidence from the case is the physical evidence proved that her boyfriend, may his soul rest in peace, focused on the physical evidence, and the physical evidence showed that he was not struck down by a vehicle. Oh, I must give a shout out to lawyer Melanie. I got this information off your show, beg your pardon. I was meaning to make a note. Let me just see. Let me just make sure I've got the info correct. Yes. So I got the info. Give credit where credit is due. Attorney Melanie Little. Thank you so much for the info. That's where I got the document from. It was funny when I started watching this episode, I was just getting back into the crime world, having been spending time on other people's projects. Okay, so the Karen Reed case against the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and all these people involved, start working out how you're going to get that money. All right, good news. All right, so let's see here. There was another viewer choice before we get on to the on-the-run coach, Travis Turner. The reason why I went, there's a picture here of Kate, the thing they call Kate at the moment, because this photograph of her on November the 18th, and she's doing this whole rah-rah speech. If you're watching the visual, and I don't mean to disturb your breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but that's not Kate. If you're looking at the visuals, in my opinion, that does not look like Kate at all. But be that as it may, we'll have a quick squiz and have a look what's going on there. Another viewer choice coming in just before I started recording from LifePath J63. Thank you very much. Could you please do a reading on missing ex-rugby player and X-Factor contestant Levi Davis? So I just did a quick scan. I'll just do a on the surface profile. Former Bath Rugby Union coming out of the UK was in Spain at the moment and disappeared. The narrative goes he drowned. Well, when I look on the day of the so-called disappearance, there is no water around here. I'll repeat, there is no water on the day. The day before, the evening before, there's no water. The day after the alleged missing day, there's no water. So the drowning theory is whack. Ah. So the night before, I believe, is where this thing goes down, right? So there's an 11-2. So I beg your pardon. This is October 29, 2022. Levi Davis apparently goes missing. Feared he may have drowned. No water here. Oh, I haven't finished some numbers. Let me see what's going on here. These are all the 17/8s, huh? Okay, so these are, 44/8. Sorry, I didn't finish this chart here. 30. So we got all 8s the night before. 20. So, there's it. This is what I must do more often. I was meant to do it. It's just I'm worried that it takes time to do the numbers manually as I'm recording. But the reason why I wanted to do it was because I get reactions when I see numbers. So 26/8. 26/8, the night before. So this is Friday evening. I believe October 29 was the Saturday. Anyway, the October 28 in the evening, there's a big argument here. 26/8, there's a fight. There's possibly even fisticuffs. 26/8. 8, very aggressive, physical, violent. By midnight, you see, by midnight, so at the end of October 28, midnight to sunrise the next day, we have a 29/11/2. Then we know something has gone very wrong. So on the surface, 12/3, everything looks hunky-dory. Don't worry, he's missing. We'll find him. But hidden, 39/12/3, 30, outcome 3, 21/3. Someone, it's almost like there's some odd numbers around this. So I'm going to say again, it's almost like he may have said something, maybe even seen something as a possibility, but certainly said something. 26/8 causes an issue, and people, I believe he was abducted or taken. Let's say taken. So hidden on the day, October 29, when the sun rises, 21/3 is an abduction number. This might be a case of wrong place at the wrong time, because the following morning, so the following midnight, there's another, well, in this case, there's a 30, outcome 3. So a woman may have had an outburst. He may have gone down the wrong street and found a very bad situation. But there's one thing for sure. There is no water on the day of his so-called disappearance. I'm going to say it, and I don't mean to upset family members or people that know him. I beg your pardon. That 30, outcome 3 can bring around issues like chemicals, acid. That's what pinged on me now. So there's definitely a hidden 40, outcome 4, which can bring around words like the boss, the manager, the pump. All transactional 46, 10, 1, 37, 10, 1 trafficking numbers. There's a good chance that Mr. Davis here knocked on the wrong door at the wrong time, went down the wrong road at the wrong time, came across a situation, and they didn't want him to see or speak or talk about what had happened, unfortunately. But I can tell you now, there's definitely no water going on here. Or let's put it this way. There's no outward water that would suggest ocean, river, dam, anything. If you're watching the visual, you might be screaming at the screen saying, but Roberto, there's a hidden 20 outcome 2 the day before. So hidden 20 outcome 2, you can't hide a lake, or you can't hide the ocean, or you can't hide the dam. This 20 outcome 2 is an outburst of sorts here, or it can be an emotional situation. But outward 20 outcome 2, there's no outward 20 outcome 2 here. And this, I've just been given it again. You see, this is why we've got to be careful how we tread around the life of numbers, right? That 30 outcome 3 is, I believe, may have been the way they disposed of him, unfortunately. 30 outcome 3, I've just been told in spirit and allegedly popping all over the place that the Spanish authorities are aware of what happened to him. I believe the local authorities, wherever this took place, are aware of what happened to him. We have a similar situation in South Africa. All the criminals, or one of the main criminals, and I'm sure there's many more, criminals are in bed, so to speak, with government. I mean, there's a criminal now that's been apprehended, a criminal boss that was being given money by government, and they knew he was a criminal. I've just been reminded by, you remember the two gentlemen that were killed near Mexico or around Mexico, the two guys from Australia. They had tire problems. The officials know what happened to them. Same in Spain. Here's their numbers here: 37, 10, 1, 46, 10, 1, hidden 40, outcome 4. He was he was taken out, this guy, and the organized criminals know what happened. So there is knowledge, there's available knowledge of what happened to Mr. Davis, in my opinion. Popcorn all over the place. Have we covered everything? I'm just too horrendous to look at this picture of the so-called Kate. My God. And look at the day before she does the speech. So let me just be clear for everyone that wants to possibly even research this. There's another picture here that I've got. I'll tell you when the event was. So the event took place on November 18, Tuesday. Let me just bring it to the front here. Beg your pardon for the delay. It was done at the Future Workforce Summit, Center for Early Childhood Development, Royal Foundation event. Right? So let's see what they've mustered up this time around. So on the day, this is why I was checking. You'll recall in the previous episode where I looked at the royals, is it them or is it not them? This is only Kate here, as we would see in this picture here. Kate is giving a speech at the Future Workforce Summit. What happens on the day? There are no Kate numbers here. We've got an 11-2 double, whatever this thing is. As we saw in the Wimbledon episode, as we saw with Dolly and her baby, or Dolly, pump it the night before, generate something or the other. Double, clone, bullshit. whatever this thing is, yeah, and maybe if you're watching or if you're listening on the podcast, and thank you for participating on the podcast level. But if you want to pop in and visually see this picture, that ain't Kate. And I didn't do anything to the picture. So, hocus pocus. Hocus pocus, Catus. Oh, Travis Turner. So, allegedly, Travis Turner has gone missing. And then the day after he's announced missing, because his wife reports him missing on November the 20th, right? Turns out there's other issues involving underage children, pornography, sexually explicit material involving minors by a beloved coach. When I was just checking this morning before recording, turns out the wife says he must be innocent. He would never do that. One could say maybe she's trying to save face. But let me tell you something about what happened before he disappears. There's chaos in the house. November 18, 999's chaos already. He knows it's coming down. The day before, November 18, there's an 11-2 in the day, illegal issues, hidden 20 outcome 2. And on November the 19th, before he goes missing, allegedly, I'm just giving as the numbers see it, I'm not reinventing the wheel. But if you're watching the visual, there's a 30 outcome 3 here. There's a 30 outcome 3. If now the wife says he's disappeared and he's innocent, why is she having an outburst before he goes missing? So when I looked at these numbers, I believe Travis may have disclosed to his wife what has happened and why this is happening. And the November the 20th, at midnight to sunrise of November the 20th, she's still crying. So you're telling me she didn't know? So here's all the Epstein, ironically, here are all the Epstein pedo numbers. This is the day that he allegedly goes missing. 13-4, children. Hidden, 22-4, 31-4. 40 outcome 4, 31-4. All your pedo numbers around children, followed by 14-5, older men, younger children. Perhaps she's saving face for her life that she's still got to live while her pedo husband runs away. So the reason, let's do this. The objective, the intention behind looking at this case was, of course, we can look at the numbers and confirm, well, is it true or not? And here's all your pedo numbers, children numbers, right? These are the same numbers that we see around the Epstein files, yeah? All right. But the objective was, where is he? So let me have a look here. I'm going to see if we can pick up anything around him. I'm going to say, so where is he from? Virginia. Huh? So I'm going to say, because there's a 14-5 the next day, this can also say that he left the state. There's a good chance that he left the state. I'm also picking up numbers of staging, right? So in other words, staging can be misleading. Oh, he went up into the forest or the hills to go take himself out because allegedly he took a shotgun with him, right? I don't know. 14-5 crossing borders. Let me just see here. So I'm going to say now, November 20 and November 21. I'm not seeing any suicide numbers at all. In November 20, November 21, I'm also not seeing any gunshot numbers, the number 6 for gun. So the November 22nd, hidden, so 15, 6, 42, 6. So November 22 might be the day. Eh? Let me just open it up here. I know this is a bit sensitive. Let me just see here. So we got a 33.6. I'm cognizant that we're blending days as well. So here's all these 42.6 immoral behavior, 33.6 numbers you don't want to see around children. So we got the 33.6, 24.6 by someone familiar. No surprise there. Hey, coach, how are you doing? I'm going to say it. When I said, hey, coach, how are you doing? The response was, I'm sorry that I did it. It's always after the fact. 42, 33.6. See, 42.6, all the immoral behaviors. So the police obviously have evidence of what he's been doing. So I'm just trying to see. I will say November 23. November 23 is a very likely day that he may have committed suicide. 16-7, 25-7, 34-7. Made to look like a suicide. See, there's a 43-7 made to look like. I believe that he may have. He's gone on the run, this guy. So the day goes missing. I'm just trying to see if we can pick him up. So the intention 16-7, that's self-harm. Okay, I will say, and this has probably happened already, in the +6 where he goes missing, there's a lot of internet numbers, transactional numbers. That's very weird. In the +6 we have a 46-10-1. Why are there all these numbers around? 18-19. I think this guy's gone on a run, eh? I could be wrong. We can go deeper if there's more information. This guy's gone on the run. I don't think he's going to self-preserve and kill himself. I think he's gone for the run. So we got 16-7, 17-8. He's made a deal with his wife here, huh? Sorry to say. And I don't care. He's made a deal with his wife here. I believe his wife knows exactly where he is, what's happened to him, and where he's gone. His wife. In my humble opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience over the last couple of weeks. Had a bit of off time. I see it's bitterly cold, very cold, northern hemisphere, so I hope you're staying warm and safe. Be safe out there. South African weather has been horrendous for the past month. I don't think we've seen so much cloud and rain in 1 month, but 11-2 November being a rain month, 2 is water. Hopefully December will be a lot better. And I've been asked by Australian viewers to also look at the weather situation in Australia. I'll have a look at that coming up. because Australia's also had some terrible weather. But we've had terrible weeks, lots of impact on us, and we're at the end of the year now. So if you're feeling weary, we're at the end of the year. I was getting a bit confused. It's been a bit of a strange year for me, in that what the year turned out to be wasn't my intention at all. The movie certainly wasn't top of mind, but they obviously called me back because they had made a big boo-boo, as the one EP says. We made a boo-boo. Okay. So completely bizarre year for me. We'll get back on track. If you're wondering, I have gone back to the book as well, so I'm tinkering on the book. So hopefully, beginning of next year or early next year, we can get the book 2 out for everyone. That was the intention for this year, as you may have known if you've been watching real time. So apologies about that. But obviously the movie took up a lot of time. I'm just trying to see what other information happened here. I did earmark De La Rosa, who unfortunately was murdered in her car, who was an up-and-coming singer. I believe there's been perpetrators booked on that, so I'll keep an eye on it. If there's anything more, then I'll reveal. Audrey Hepburn, for whatever reason, Audrey Hepburn's been pinging on me, so perhaps I'll have a look at her situation and how she passed and what was going on there. And but I just want to thank you all for participating on the channel. I hope you, if you're American, had a good Thanksgiving holidays. And for all those that celebrate Thanksgiving, I'm very grateful and thankful for your participation on the channel and being able to do this in the first place, which is a blessing. So may you all be well. May you be well. May your loved ones be well. Let's keep an eye out. I'm going to be around during December. I'm possibly looking at March next year to go away for a bit of a holiday. March next year is the best time to travel in South Africa. But I'll certainly be around during December, January. I'll keep on what's going on. Everything last year, if you recall, December was very quiet, generally speaking, until we got to New Year's Eve, right? So I'm going to be around December, January, and take a bit of a vacay in March is better. And let's keep an eye also out on the children's party that there was a mass shooting at now in California this past evening. I mean, how heinous. You know, people that murder, hurt, harm children. Mr. Turner, they will find you. He is going to be arrested. I do see it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating on the channel. I do appreciate you all. And may you stay blessed. And let's keep our eyes and ears open. Bye for now.